Now look, I'm not against parents. Well, I'm just against the idea that they are always right. Because nowadays, parenting isn't about raising us, it's more about modeling us into a loved and cherished investment. An investment where the love and attachment are so huge that the investment is not allowed to take any risks for higher returns. An investment that grows very slowly in a fast moving environment, in a fast moving market. An investment that is only and only meant to follow a path that is considered safe societally. Now, societally. And basically, all of this so that once that investment matures, it can provide steady returns. Returns so little that they will barely fulfill daily needs. So, in this video, we will be talking about 3 of such unhealthy actions and habits used by our parents in our upbringing, and try to find solutions and learn from them in an attempt to make sure that we do not make the same mistakes all over again when we are parenting. People you see, parents often start scolding children from an early age for behaviors that they think might affect the children negatively, like playing mobile games, staying up late, not wanting to study. Now, what they overlook is that children lack the ability to perceive what's right from wrong independently. Children learn by observing and mimicking others that they see every day around themselves, which is basically their parents. Now, this mimicry is a basic, fundamental human trait. Now, this is a trait that is found in adults also. Adults tend to copy and mimic the traits and micro expressions and the accents of the people that they like or they hang out with, like their partners or their friends. Because psychologically, humans are social beings who seek interaction and validation and other forms of social agreement. But the problem is that when children observe their parents constantly on their phones, staying up late, not studying, reading, or learning something new, they tend to copy that only because they want to impress their parents, or they want the only thing that they need at that age is their parents' attention. So, what they are seeking is just their parents' attention by copying their behavior. However, when they are met with scolding and punishments for activities that their parents carry out on a day-to-day basis, the child at that point receives a conflicting message. Now, such micro inconsistencies over a period of time for that child could lead up to that child being attention seeking in their adulthood, because they never got what they needed when they needed it the most, and that too from their own parents. Now, this inconsistency could lead to confusion and over time foster attention seeking behaviors in their adulthood as they try and attempt to fill the void that was left by parental inattention. Now, I'm not a specialist, but just from pure logic and the emotional quotient that I carry, I feel like parents should model those behaviors that they would want to see in their children in the future. If they want their child to read more, then they as well should do so. If the parent wants their child to go to bed early, then by pure logic, they should as well do so. And lastly, if the parent wants their child to stop using devices, then they as well should stop using them, at least when the child is in front of them or the child is around them. Because demonstrating behaviors visually helps to reinforce them much better than by just verbal instruction. Now, parents always mean well, but good intentions always don't translate to good outcomes, because when we think differently, we are labeled disrespectful. When we set boundaries, we are deemed ungrateful. For me, this isn't parenting. This is more of an emotional warfare disguised as love. We are being conditioned to think of it as like parents are God. But always remember, God doesn't control. He or she tries to understand. Now, our parents' deep attachment often leads to them protecting us from literally any and everything possible. Safety is important, exposure is also important. Excessive protection hinders the development of crucial life skills. Skills like risk assessment, resilience, financial literacy, self efficacy, conflict resolution, and the list can go on and on and on forever. The people you see, I feel there could be another underlying reason for such behavior of our parents towards us. That is, though we literally are their chromosomes, they still don't trust us enough to the point that they still don't trust us enough to believe that we are capable of protecting ourselves only. Now I know it sounds weird, but people you see, if you think about it, we are so important to them that they think that they are the only ones worthy enough to protect us and not even we ourselves. Hence the outcome. They want us to follow the societally safe career paths, which is a government job or a corporate job. End of the day, truly limiting our potential. Now, people, I think a very easy fix could be us just convincing our parents slowly that yes, we are capable of taking care ourselves at first and then also look after them and also look after the other needs and other pillars of life that are necessary for a human, and also grow along that way in terms of finance, in terms of physicality, in terms of our emotions, and in terms of us ourselves as a human. Now, this is easier said than done, as convincing them might take months or even years worth of time. As we know, trust is not built in a day, so we have to demonstrate our abilities to take informed decisions, to take well thought after decisions in our own lives and in lives of people that we consider are important to us. As over time, consistent actions will shift parental perceptions towards trust, towards better communication, towards a more healthy parent and child bond. Now, people, you must have heard a parent say that they are unable to take care of themselves because they have to look after the child, so that almost takes most of their time. Now, I understand that a infant or a small kid needs a lot of care and nurturing, which in turn takes away all of their time, and that is somewhat valid. But that makes no sense when that so-called child or kid is 18 years or even older. At that point, it's a lot less about caregiving and a lot more about a very specific mindset, which is a belief that their own well-being can take a halt, can wait, because they are investing into something more important, that is taking care of us. But here's the thing, neglecting one's own health and needs isn't noble. It's a form of self-sabotage, which us humans, our parents, need to understand. And when parents adopt this martyr-like stance, it often leads to statements like, after all, I've done all of this for you only, or you will understand when you yourself are a parent. Now, according to me, these aren't expressions of fatigue. These are forms of emotional manipulation. But what are its consequences? What it leads to is that such behavior tends to induce guilt and suppresses open communication between the parent and the child, leading to strained relationships. But from the parent's perspective, they might genuinely believe that they are going and doing above and beyond than what other parents are doing for their own children. But in reality, this overextension can genuinely hinder both their well-being and our ability to communicate properly with them. Now, this behavior aligns with the concept in psychology, which is martyr complex or victim playing. It's when individuals present themselves as victims to either avoid responsibility or to elicit sympathy. In parenting, this might come off as self-sacrifice used to control or influence the child's behavior. Moreover, such dynamics could lead to emotional neglect, because when a parent's entire focus is on their perceived sacrifices, they might overlook the child's actual emotional needs. Now it's valid to them because for them they have convinced themselves into thinking that they are always doing more than what other parents are doing for their kids. So in turn, they also believe that we should be putting in more efforts than the other kids. But what's actually happening is that in an attempt to show love, they are actually overdoing things, all while putting their own health at risk and also making it harder for the child to communicate. People, now you may ask, so how do we address that? Well, it's about fostering mutual respect and understanding between the two parties that are involved. We, as their children, have to encourage open dialogues, have to start conversations with them that encourages them to open up to us, that allows them to talk about their vulnerabilities and their feelings without them feeling that they are being judged. Parents should recognize the importance of self-care, not just for their own sake, but as a path for their own children to follow. We in turn can acknowledge their efforts while setting healthy boundaries for open communication. Now people, you have to understand that this will not happen in one day or 1 week or 1 month. As for our parents, perceptually, if you think from their perspective, for them, they will never be able to perceive that we are grown up enough to be able to understand their problems or the things that they are thinking. So for them, we'll always be a bit less mature than what they are. Because for every human, and this is also applicable for us, we will be more important to ourselves than the people around us. That is, we will prioritize the choices and decisions that are made by us than those that are made by people who are around us. So people, these were a few of those flaws that I have recognized over a past few years. But with all the complaints, we also have to understand that our parents came from a lot tougher times where survival was more important than emotional stability. But the most beautiful part about being a human is that we evolve, we fall, we reflect, we rise, but we do better every damn time. So let's not just complain or blame. Let's take responsibility. Let's talk to our parents with empathy. Let's build and give them the emotional awareness that they might have never received, but which we have access to right now. And maybe one fine day, our generation might have the chance to break free from the pattern. And who knows, years from now, our kids might find the more subtle flaws in us. And that's okay, because that's growth, and that is how the cycle goes on and on and on for eternity.